Have you ever pondered over what it took to become a Spartan, one of history's most formidable warriors? Envision a civilization so engrossed in martial superiority that it starts molding its civilians from their young age of 7. Think about a society where warfare isn't just a strategy for survival, but rather a lifestyle. This was the reality for Spartans, the renowned warriors from ancient Greece, whose reputation for audacity, discipline, and military acumen continue to reverberate through history's chronicles. The mystery of the Spartans originates with their upbringing. Contrasting greatly to the rest of the Greek world, Spartan boys weren't solely brought up by their kin. Instead, they were enlisted in the Agoge, a state-funded training program teaching them not just combat, but also the way of living and dying like a Spartan warrior. The fascination of Spartan warriors extends beyond their grueling training. It infiltrates into their lifestyle, a way of living that was regimented, disciplined, and steadfast. Spartans weren't just mere soldiers. They were the spine of a civilization that prized strength, resilience, and warcraft above everything else. Spartans weren't simply born, they were crafted. Their evolution from mere kids to legendary warriors wasn't an easy transition. It was a journey marked by adversity, discipline, and an unwavering allegiance to the Spartan lifestyle. However, our comprehension of Spartans remains incomplete without discussing the Messenian Wars. These battles, contested between Sparta and the neighboring state of Messenia, were the catalysts that metamorphosed Spartans into an unbeatable military force. The wars, albeit ruthless, left an everlasting mark on Spartan society, molding its warfare strategies, its societal hierarchy, and its core identity. Come along with us as we delve into a Spartan's life, from infancy to battlefield. The narrative of Sparta's legendary warriors isn't just a saga of bravery and discipline. It stands as a testament to the strength of a society that, in its chase of martial mastery, established one of history's most powerful fighting forces. For a Spartan, the harsh life of a warrior began at the tender age of 7. This marked the end of their childhood, as they were thrown into the unforgiving world of the Agoge, the Spartan training program. This was no ordinary education. It was a meticulously crafted system designed to churn out the most formidable warriors the world had ever seen. The Agoge was a crucible, a trial by fire where strength was rewarded and weakness was not an option. Spartan boys were subjected to grueling physical training that would make even the most robust of us wince. They were pushed to their limits, honing their bodies into lethal weapons. But the training was not limited to the physical alone. It was a comprehensive program that also tested their mental resilience, forcing them to think strategically, to problem solve, to strategize. It was a preparation for the harsh realities of war where physical might alone was not enough. But the Agoge was not just about molding the mind and body. It was also about survival. Spartan boys were often deprived of necessities, forced to fend for themselves. They had to learn to survive with little, to withstand the elements, to make do with what they had. This was not cruelty, but a lesson in resourcefulness, a lesson that would serve them well on the battlefield. Living conditions in the Agoge were far from luxurious. The boys lived communally, sharing everything from meals to sleeping quarters. This was a deliberate tactic to foster a strong sense of camaraderie and unity among them. On the battlefield, they were not just fellow soldiers, they were brothers, bound by the shared experiences of the Agoge. And so, at the tender age of 7, a Spartan boy's childhood would end, replaced by the harsh realities of the Agoge. It was a brutal initiation, a trial by fire that would transform them from boys into warriors. But as grueling as it was just the beginning. The Agoge was a brutal initiation, but it was just the beginning. Surviving the Agoge was just the first step in the long road to becoming a Spartan warrior. The Agoge, an intense training program that began at the tender age of 7, was just the beginning. The Spartan youth, upon reaching their teenage years, were thrust into a new phase of training, one that was even more rigorous and demanding. In their early teens, Spartan boys were taught the art of survival. They were left in the wilderness with nothing but their wits to keep them alive. This was not just a test of their physical endurance, but of their mental fortitude. The Spartans believed that a warrior's greatest weapon was his mind, and they trained it just as rigorously as they did their bodies. As they grew older, the training intensified. The Spartans were taught the art of war, the use of weapons, tactics, and strategy. They learned to fight as a unit, to move as one. The emphasis was on discipline and obedience. A Spartan soldier was expected to follow orders without question. This was ingrained in them from a young age, and it was a principle they carried with them into battle. But Spartan society was not just about obedience. It was also fiercely competitive. Every aspect of a Spartan's life was a competition, from the dining table to the training field. This competitive spirit was a driving force behind their training. It pushed them to their limits to constantly strive for better, to be the best. This relentless pursuit of excellence was reflected in their training. A Spartan was never satisfied. He was always pushing himself, always striving to be better. This was not just a personal quest, but a societal expectation. A Spartan was expected to be the best, and anything less was considered a failure. By the age of 20, a Spartan was not just a warrior. He was a machine, built for the sole purpose of war. The training, the discipline, the competition, it all culminated in the creation of a warrior unlike any other. A Spartan was not just a soldier. He was a weapon, a tool of war, honed to perfection. He was the embodiment of the Spartan ideal, strong, disciplined, and fearless. He was, in every sense of the word, a Spartan. The transformation of the Spartans was driven by a series of wars that would shape their destiny. The Messenian Wars, a series of conflicts that spanned the better part of a century, were a pivotal moment in Spartan history. These wars were not merely about territorial expansion or political power, but the very survival and identity of Sparta itself. The First Messenian War was a desperate struggle for survival. The Spartans, living in a land that was rocky and hard to farm, looked to the fertile plains of Messenia with a covetous eye. The war, which lasted for 20 years, was brutal and bloody, but eventually, the Spartans emerged victorious, annexing the Messenian lands and bringing the Messenians under their dominion. The victory, however, came with a price. The Messenians, resentful of their subjugation, were a constant source of rebellion. This led to the Second Messenian War, a conflict that would transform Sparta forever. In response to the constant rebellions, the Spartans developed the Helot system, a form of serfdom. The Messenians, now known as Helots, were tied to the land and forced to provide a certain amount of produce to their Spartan masters. This system allowed the Spartans to focus on military training and tactics, transforming them into a full-time professional army. But the Helot system was not just about economic exploitation. It was also about control and fear. The Spartans lived in constant fear of a Helot uprising. To keep the Helots in check, the Spartans developed a brutal regime of surveillance and intimidation, which included the infamous secret police, the Cryptia. The Messenian Wars also led to significant changes in Spartan military tactics. The Spartans, facing a numerically superior enemy, developed the phalanx, a formation of heavily armed hoplites. This formation, with its emphasis on discipline and teamwork, was a perfect match for the Spartan ethos of unity and sacrifice. The impact of the Messenian Wars on Spartan society cannot be overstated. The wars transformed Sparta from a typical city-state into a militaristic society, where every aspect of life was subordinated to the needs of the state. The Helot system, the phalanx, the agoge, all of these were born out of the crucible of the Messenian Wars. The Messenian Wars were a crucible, hardening the Spartans into the legendary warriors we know them as today. So what did it mean to be a Spartan, and what is their legacy today? The Spartans, known for their fierce discipline and military prowess, have left an indelible imprint on the world. Their influence has echoed down the corridors of time, shaping later military traditions and strategies. The Spartan phalanx, a formation where warriors would stand shield to shield, spear in hand, became a blueprint for later armies. Even today, the term Spartan discipline is synonymous with unyielding rigor and resilience, used to describe the strictest of training regimes. But it isn't just in the realm of warfare that the Spartans have left their mark. They've also permeated popular culture, becoming a symbol of strength, courage, and indomitable will. From the pages of comic books to the frames of Hollywood blockbusters, the image of the Spartan warrior has been etched into our collective consciousness. They have become the embodiment of our idealized perception of warriors in war. However, it's important to remember that these Spartans weren't just warriors. They were also human beings with a unique culture and society, and with that comes a myriad of myths and misconceptions. Yes, they were fierce, disciplined, and brave, but they were also a product of their time and environment. They were not invincible, and their society had its flaws and contradictions, just like any other. We should also remember that the Spartan way of life came at a high cost. The agoge, the rigorous training program that transformed boys into warriors, was brutal and unforgiving. It was a system built on the subjugation of the Helots, the slave class that supported the Spartan warrior elite. This is a part of the Spartan legacy that is often glossed over, but it's an essential piece of the puzzle. In the end, the Spartans were more than just warriors. They were a society that, for all its flaws and contradictions, produced some of the most disciplined and effective soldiers the world has ever seen. And their legacy? It's a complex tapestry woven from threads of fact, fiction, admiration, and critique. The Spartans may be long gone, but their legend lives on, a testament to their skill, bravery, and indomitable spirit. The story of the Spartans is a fascinating glimpse into a unique society and way of life. We've traversed through the life of a Spartan, from the day a young boy of 7 steps into the rigorous training regime of the Agoge, to the transformation of these individuals into an invincible military force. Their lives were not easy, far from it. The Spartan way was one of hardship, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. It was a life spent in the pursuit of martial prowess, where every waking moment was a step towards becoming the perfect soldier. The Messenian Wars were a pivotal chapter in the Spartan narrative, acting as a crucible that reshaped the Spartan society. The wars forged a Spartan identity rooted in an unyielding spirit of resilience and an indomitable will to survive. It was during these testing times that the Spartans evolved into the legendary warriors we know today. The legacy of the Spartans continues to inspire and captivate us. Their tales of valor, discipline, and sacrifice echo through the corridors of time, serving as a testament to their indomitable spirit. The Spartans lived by a code, a way of life that continues to resonate with us as we navigate through our own battles and challenges. However, the story of the Spartans is far from over. There's so much more to explore, to understand, to learn. The annals of Spartan history are filled with tales of courage, resilience, and sacrifice. So let us continue to delve into this intriguing topic to glean more insights into their extraordinary lives. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. Until next time, keep exploring the rich tapestry of history.